Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Now that we got the tail done, let's have a discussion on what we're going to do to the wings. Alright, before we get going on the wings, in earlier discussion, it was how much weight am I saving with changing the tail up. Instead of going with bulk wood, sanded down, went with the laminate. So let me go ahead and get the scale up and I'll show you where we're at. Alright, I can set this all up so that I'm showing you each piece individually. This here is all the horizontal stabilizer, elevator, rudder, and vert stave. So this is all stacked on top of each other. So this right here comes out to 159 grams, or for us people over here in the United States of America, 5.6 ounces. Let's grab the other stuff. This is all the stuff that's laminate flow. 3.5 ounces, or 98 grams. So you can see how much we saved. A couple ounces on the tail is, probably 12 ounces on the nose. So that's going to give us a lighter tail section on it. So chances are, even though I'm putting a gas motor on it, less chance of having to either slide batteries farther forward or put lead in the nose. And that's the whole thing, is to try to keep the wing loading as light as possible, yet still have a plane that you're going to go out and have fun with. Alright, where to begin? As you may remember, when I made these little pieces to go ahead and bend the first wing tips, this was too small. And let me see if I can get you a little bit better. Sorry for the background noise. This was the difference, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's deeper this way. I could probably gotten away without going deeper this way, but it would make it easier for me to get everything properly cut doing it the second way. So anyway, so these are done. They're gone. Of no use to me. These things here, the way that they're cut, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it through that camera. Instead of being a perfect circle, perfect hemisphere, it drops, it slopes out towards the bottom. And the reason why it has to do this is because the way that this is going to sit on the wing, such like that instead of like this. So that had to be done that way. So anyway, the way I got those, of course, was to pretty much just tape this to my screen on my desktop upstairs, just the paper. Go ahead and make some markers, come out and draw it. So anyway, it was set up this way just so that when I'm making the marks on where everything needed to be on the wood, I went off of this, not off of the template. So anyway, so this upside down, so you can read it, it's the cut template. This is what I'm going to be drawing a line around the outside of the wing tips for before I go ahead and cut them. As you can see how much I have to cut off. It's not a terribly large amount, but even though I'm cutting it around this way, I still have to remove this part. So it's going to be pretty much starting here, cutting around, and wherever it leads up to the actual rib going through, I'm going to cut to this side of the rib. So this is where it's going to get really sketchy on how well I do on this. But anyway, what I did was, this was cut off from this piece, and then I went ahead, took this little thing, little compass, lined them up such like this on just regular cardboard. And even though this is backwards, let me do it this way, just came in, and this was my marker. I just went around the outside of it, and then with a pencil just went ahead and drew the arc and then cut that out. So this is what I used to cut this. So that was a template for nothing else but the foam. So this as well is no longer necessary. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you some pictures, because everything that is being done down here is all going to be from these pictures. Now, the pictures, it was a real pain in the butt to get me to do it. I had to take a PDF file and turn it into a picture. And I was having a problem with Adobe, and I got this program called Foxit, which works really nicely. But that I had to export XCF file to save it as a JPEG just so I could put it in video. So with the wingtips, this is pretty much about what I had to work off of. It's just a PDF file. There's not it's not a tremendously large amount of information. It's pretty much 2D, just to see how everything needed to be lined up on the wing, and that was how I got the initial drawings done. So from there, you're trying to figure out the side view of the wing tip, because I didn't know where exactly we were gonna. I had a good idea on how the circular part, the round, the hoop, was gonna get attached to it. I just wanted to see how they had it set up for what kind of angle it was gonna sit with on the wing, because the wing's flat bottom wing. It's not a true wing, but it's a flat bottom wing. So it's going to be one of those little things where I don't have to worry about cutting it out. I just have to make sure that it's at the right angle from the center of the leading edge to the tail. So that's not going to be tremendously difficult, but what I'll probably do on that one is I'll take the time that while it's sitting on the workboard, I'll make a wedge, whether it's out of foam, whether it's out of balsa, it really doesn't matter. But I'll make a wedge that the hoop can sit on, so when it comes time to glue it into place, it's at the proper angle. And then with this little picture right here, that gives you a good idea of where it is. At the top picture, I believe, is where it's at on the first spar, the forward spar, and then the other one is at the rear spar. And you can kind of see the difference on how it's higher. One part's higher up than the other one. So that is how I'm going to be attaching the hoops to it, with the exception of this part of the hoop right here, right in here. I'm probably going to put some flat stock, maybe a piece of quarter flat stock, not a big one, just enough to cover that little piece where the two spars come across, and that's all I really need to do. I'm just more concerned on the structure, on how it's going to connect from the lash rib out to the tip. So it should not be very difficult, but we'll see how that goes. So anyway, to get back on the wingtip, let me show you the slight little changes that will be getting made, because as you see the way the lines are put together, because I had to make measurements, I had to go from the outside of the rib to this line, 76 millimeters, and I like millimeters. Don't, you know, I'm an SAE guy, but there's times I like metric system. So anyway, 76 mil over, and you can see it does line up from the outside of that lash rib over to here. Now, don't know how well you're going to see it, but right down here, this is the aileron on a Stampe. It's about 2/3 larger on a Tiger Moth, because the Tiger Moth only has one aileron on each wing, on the lower wing, nothing on the top. So it's going to be a very, very improved roll rate to this plane. So aerobatically, it should spin like a top. We'll see how well that goes. And it's also kind of making me think it may be better to have another servo up in the top wing as well. I just haven't decided if I want to do it that way, or just go ahead and just use the control rod. If I do put the control rod in, I'm not going to be using the steel piano wire that they give you. I'm going to end up having to go to a little bit thicker carbon fiber tubing, even if it's carbon fiber rod. Either way, just to make sure that we've got enough, just to make sure that the push-pull rod itself just has less flexibility to it. It's a little more rigid, and it should make it work very nicely. So, but you know, we'll see. I haven't made that decision yet. It's easy enough for me to just come on through and sorry you can't see all the way down there, just come through with my long drill bit and just drill a hole all the way through, and then go ahead and then just run a servo extension down to it. So anyway, yeah, now I'm at the time where I need to cut, and I'm going to start working on one of the bottom wings first, because everybody's going to see the top wing when you first walk up to the plane, and if there's any kind of little bit of repair work, that's the last place you want to have it done, is on that top wing. It's better to have it on the lower wing, just makes it look prettier. So anyway, hopefully on this all will go pretty nice. This is always going to be in question until I get to this point. So let's just go ahead and get started, and just cross your fingers that everything's going to go well. Okay, so what I forgot to actually bring into the conversation, because I completely forgot about it until I drew the first parts of this. What I needed to do with this, even though I said we're going to throw this out because there was no use to it, there was. That's why I still have the F on it for the front. So what you ended up doing is you take the 3/8 that we use to draw around it, both sides, put a little marker on the big piece. And that marker was, once everything was lined up, and we're working from the rear of the wing. So once that's even, I come in, I strike a mark here, I come up and I strike a mark up here. Then I take this piece and then come through, line it up top and bottom, and then just come on through, draw your lines on the top, draw your lines on the rear, and this is going to be the part that I'm going to be cutting off. So the other thing that I also didn't let you know about, this is the critical part, because once you get the wood in here, let me just make sure I got this one set up the right way. Here's the front, this comes around to the back, and okay, it's sitting pretty good right now where it is. This is the critical part, because right now this is a hinge line for the aileron. This has to be solid. This is going to be solid all the way till we get down to here. So this is where it's going to terminate, is down here, and then this is where the aileron's getting cut. The aileron is getting cut from here up, so this will all be a solid part of the wing down in here. So I'm going to have to rebuild this section right down in here with the slant and everything. So that's going to be the most critical part of this whole build. I've got to do this 4 times. So I need to figure out, once I get it cut, I want to sit down and figure out how I want to do this. Because like I said, this is taking me a day and a half. Just sitting down, figuring out how I wanted to go ahead and do it, if I wanted to change direction when I was cutting things out. So I don't think there's going to be a problem, which means there's probably going to be a problem. So probably going to call this a day right now, because it's later on in the day. And wake up, get down here first thing in the morning, let's get a fresh start.